Welcome to the Thriving Farmer Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Kilpatrick. Our mission is to inspire, educate, and celebrate sustainable farming. We believe that you can build a profitable, sustainable farm that gives you true farm freedom. Join us as we talk to farmers, innovators, educators, and entrepreneurs to glean their top takeaways in business and life. This podcast is brought to you by Grown By. Join farmers from across the U.S. who are selling direct on the first cooperatively owned sales app, Grown By. You can easily manage CSAs of any scale, organize your spring plant sales, move that freezer meat, or even sell wholesale on Grown By. Farm shops are free to build with lots of inventory options. You can accept credit cards and offline payments, and their pick lists and pack sheets do the job. Customers will get automated notifications on orders, refunds, and pickups. There is no startup fees, no monthly or yearly subscriptions, no additional charge for tech support. The only cost is a small co-op service charge for online processing. However, as a listener of the Thriving Farmer podcast, you get 50% off your first 3 months of co-op service charges on Grown By. Email their very friendly farmer support team at grow@farmgenerations.coop to get this offer. Check it out at grownby.com or download the app on the Google Play or Apple App Stores. Grown By, the farmer-owned marketplace. Hey, Thriving Farmers, Michael Kilpatrick here with yet another episode of the Thriving Farmer podcast. And today my guest is Jason Contreras of Sow the Land on YouTube. In 2016, Jason and his family left their life in LA to start a small homestead in the mountains of North Carolina. Now in remission from cancer, Jason is on a journey to grow his family's food, create an efficient homestead, and share the whole process in the hopes of inspiring others. Jason, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So give me a little bit of what was life back in LA?
Yeah. So, office job, 9 to 5 office job. And, me and my wife, we grew up in the same area, went to the same high school. All of our families back out there, that's just where we're from. Grandma lived on the next street over. And so we kind of were in that area and always grew up there. And, I guess we lived, the standard American, did the standard American diet for sure. And just grew up that way, just kind of normal guy in LA, LA area. And then, so didn't grow up around farming or homesteading or growing anything. I don't think we even knew a single person that had a backyard garden, just wasn't around it. Didn't have friends around that knew how to do it or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. And then what was it that you said enough is enough?
Yeah. So we're already married, me and my wife, in 2010, I got diagnosed with cancer, which is Hodgkin's lymphoma. And that was the reason. I mean, that kind of, we started thinking differently at that time, and it was like, whoa, I had just turned 30 years old and it was like, I got cancer. Like, this is so wild, usually, the person I know who has cancer, they're like in their 80s, they're already older. And for that to happen to me, it was just totally unexpected. And from there, we just started to think differently, like, or should we be eating differently? Should I be exercising more? Just kind of that style of what to do. And then I did 6 months of chemo, and that was it. Didn't have any crazy surgeries or nothing. I just did chemo, and after that, I've been in remission since. And it was during that time where we started to think differently like that. Like, also our jobs, I started to question my own job. I worked in a 9 to 5 office job. At the time when I did leave, it was 17 years of doing the exact same thing, just sitting down. I was a computer drafter, and that's what I went to school for too. And then my wife, she was in the fashion industry. And, she would drive 3 hours in traffic every day,
Wow.
And so, all of these things it kind of happened all at once where you get cancer. And then we started questioning all these little things that were happening around us. And then we decided, hey, let's grow some food, because we started reading labels. And we're thinking like, okay, if we're really going to know what's in our food and what we're eating, we should grow it ourselves. And we didn't know what that looked like. We just went and bought some plant starts and threw them. We had a little garden that we started in our backyard, and we started planting food. Didn't really know how to do it, and we fell in love with that. After you grow your first tomato plant and you eat that tomato in a salad or something, it's exciting. All of a sudden you feel like a farmer. you know and so we fell in love with that, and then we started joking around like, hey, what if we found some land somewhere? Like, what if we could grow more of our food? What if we could have chickens and farm animals and stuff? And it could be kind of like a joke. We'd laugh and be like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, on paper, or like in the movies. It sounds exciting, but is it really? Are we is that really doable? Because we definitely knew that it wasn't going to happen to where we're at currently. Then we're not going to find some land. I mean, I was thinking maybe 1 acre. I didn't even know how big 1 acre was, or if that was enough. And so it was kind of like this snowball thing of, we just kept on talking about it. And it probably took us about a good 6 years from when I got cancer to when we actually left California. So it wasn't like, overnight thing. It was a good 6 years of talking about it. And I think that the thing is, we continued to talk about it, and it was like it was building up momentum, like building up speed. And the more we talked about it, the more we were like, hey, we're gonna do this, but we didn't know how that would happen. I couldn't wrap my mind around, like, okay, if we look at other properties in different states, like, how, I still got to work. We still need to pay bills. Like, how is that going to work? And well, maybe I could look for a job wherever it is we want to move, and establish a job first and then move. That seems a more responsible way.
Yeah.
But as we kind of, as we were talking about doing this homestead thing, like, we were, we had a nice size house, and 2 cars, and we had some debts, student loans and stuff like that. And so within those 6 years, we tried to live more minimally. I mean, looking back at it now, we were kind of developing that homestead mindset in the city. This was before YouTube and social media. So we didn't really know people that were doing this thing. And so, we're all of a sudden we got rid of 1 car, went down to 1 car, got rid of the television, we stopped eating fast food, started trying to save more money and getting rid of stuff. We're slowly getting rid of stuff in our house. We collected a lot of things. We had rooms that we wouldn't even go in, that had couches. We'd get rid of those couches, stuff like that. And then, I mean, this took 6 years, but we're getting rid of all these things that we felt like we weren't using or didn't need, because one day we're going to go find some land somewhere and start farming. We're not going to need all this stuff. And so I remember one of the last things that we had, and we all of a sudden looked around and we had nothing in our house. Like, we had maybe a couch, and like all our lamps were gone. There was nothing on the walls. And we're like, I think this is pretty serious. Like, the only thing we had really left was our kitchen table. We had our kitchen table left. And we said, okay, if we sell this kitchen table, then we're pretty serious. I think this is going to happen. So, we sold the kitchen table, and shortly thereafter, we sold our house. And the plan was, with that money, we're going to continue to save and go move in with Mom, because my mom lived on the next street over. And we're going to live there for a year. And in that year, we're going to go look for land somewhere. I didn't know where that was, but we knew we wanted a little bit more space. And so that's what we did. We took that year of kind of looking around But at the same time, I still had a job. My wife, at that time we had our daughter, and my wife, she left her career to be a stay-at-home mom, and but I still had my office job, and so um, I still couldn't wrap my mind around finding another job. I just couldn't do it because we didn't know where we're going to be at. And so it led us to North Carolina, the mountains of North Carolina. And we came to visit, and we had never been on the East Coast ever. We never really been outside California. And we fell in love with the area. I mean, I think because it's so different, it's very green and there's water, there wasn't a drought, and we felt a good sense of community out here, who are people who are doing kind of what we wanted to do, which is start a small farm. Mm-hmm. And so, we ended up buying 1.5 acres, and then, so we bought it, but, we wanted to leave. So I cannot think of a way to do it because I could not find the job. And I looked out here briefly because I didn't want to do being back in the office. I really wanted to figure a way to work for ourselves as a family and just be at home and work. And, this was 2016 when we left. And so that I ended up just quitting my job and leaving.
And your job, when you said a computer drafter, that's like engineer drafting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't know another way to do it. So we quit, I just quit and we left. We had sold most of our stuff and we left and moved into our 1.5 acres that we started on. And it was a rundown single wide home, mobile home. My wife trusted me enough to come out here by myself and pick it out because she didn't see it prior to moving. I mean, other than pictures. But, this is something we really wanted to do, and we didn't really know anybody. We maybe knew like one couple kind of, and then, didn't have family out here, so no job. And all the thing we knew is we wanted to grow more of our food and just try to be as healthy as we can and be together as a family. Also just wanted to work myself and didn't know what that looked like, but we're just going to figure it out.
Mm. All right. So you obviously figured it out somehow.
Well, it's not easy. It wasn't, it hasn't, it's still not easy, but it's just one of those things that we just, I think I said yes to everything that came my way.
Mm. So when you say that, what did you say yes to? Were you doing a bunch of odd jobs just to kind of like fill the void until things started taking off?
Yes, that's exactly what I did. I think so. We had, with the sale of our house in California, we had at least 6 months of income, of like of money in the bank, of like, okay, if I didn't find work for 6 months, we would be okay. We can pay the bills and did that way. So at about month 3 of not having anything come in, I almost kind of get panic attacks. Like coming from the world of like, I got paid every Friday and got paid vacations and sick leave and healthcare was paid for, and all of a sudden that's gone and I haven't got paid in 3 months. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is is this right? Did we do the right thing here? We had a 4-year-old at the time, and it was just us two, and definitely doubt was like going in my brain of like, this is, we need to go back. We made the wrong decision. But it was just, just continue moving forward. And, for a lot of things, we would meet people in the community, we'd go to farmers markets, I would just put the word out there. People who I'm looking for work. If you guys need anything done at your house, putting in a sink, putting in a toilet, like whatever it was.
Mhm.
And at the same time, I liked working with wood, doing working stuff. I like doing it. Even though I didn't do a whole lot of it. So I started doing those things, like kind of making like cutting boards and stuff like that. And in that Asheville area is where we moved to. It's huge on like people like artists, like pottery and woodworking. And we didn't know that when we moved there. But we started doing more like craft shows and stuff like that. And so craft shows of stuff that we would make and sell there. And then also, I think the first thing I really did was an Uber driver.
Okay.
And I did end up working part-time at a furniture store. Like, it was really just whatever I could find. I did still, because I knew how to do computer drafting, like AutoCAD work online on the computer. And so, I'll go through Craigslist, see if anyone's looking for something drawn up like that. And then about a year after we moved is when we started our YouTube channel. And that was really before our family back in California, because they were still like asking questions of like, what are you guys doing out there? If I retired early or something, and they didn't understand. And plus we took their granddaughter away, 4-year-old. So that was a concern too. But so it was really for them. I was like, this is what we did today. And I did a short video, throw it on YouTube, and like, hey, I created this channel so you guys go watch it. And so, for the first probably like few years, it was really just saying yes to a lot of things and creating this channel. And slowly that I saw it growing as the years went along.
Yeah. Well, what I like about that too is that you basically had a dream and you just slowly marched toward that dream. And it started with selling everything. It started with trying to grow your own food. And then, as you said, the kitchen table. When the kitchen table's gone, it's time to go.
Yeah.
And then you basically did anything to start too. And I think that's, when we talk to people that want to homestead or people that want to farm, the big thing to tell people is just do it. And sometimes it's going to look a little crazy. Sometimes you're going to take that step of fear, but just do it. Now, with like when you were gardening in California, what were some of the first crops that you grew?
Definitely tomatoes, peppers, like kale, lettuces, stuff like that. I mean, I think it was mainly stuff that you could find at the local hardware store. It wasn't also stuff that we knew that we liked, that we like to eat. Like those things, like tomatoes, peppers, kale. So it wasn't anything too crazy. And then we, started to experiment with like growing potatoes. We started with raised garden beds. So I built like 6 of those, and that's how we started with like square foot gardening type method. And then, so I think we just started with those, and then, kind of taught ourselves how to can food, stuff like that. So yeah, it's funny when you start to do those things and not really knowing anybody in your area that's doing those things, all of a sudden people come out of the woodworks,
Yeah.
All of a sudden it almost like word gets around or something, and then you start to meet other people who are doing those things in your neighborhood, and you're like, wow, I didn't know anyone else did this stuff, and then you start to see community gardens more, and like, oh wow, there's a community garden down the ways in this suburban neighborhood, which I had no idea was there. And so we would do that. And in California we created before we left, it was a couple years before we left, we created like a food swap, it was called, where we would, swap. If you have an abundance of something, you're growing something, or even if you can something, you could switch. We get together at a park, and like if I have abundance of a kale, I would, switch you some kale for you have abundance of eggs or something. No money involved, and it was just a way to just to, grow a community and just hang out, and find some like-minded people. And that did really well. I mean, we met so many people that way, people that we never would have met before. And that stopped when we moved, but and then after that, it just kind of snowballed from there.
Mhm. Now, talk a little bit about, you were married at the time. Talk about with your wife, what that looked like, because I'm assuming there may have been, was one of you more interested than the other, or was it equally, you were both looking for this?
It was definitely equally. We both
Mhm.
we both wanted this. Usually I think when you talk to people like the way we did it, it's one or the other, or that one is trying to get the other one on board.
Mhm.
But for us, it was definitely both of us. It was both of our. Has been both of our dreams of doing this, and I
Mhm.
think that is important. I think if this was one of our dreams and not the other, then I can think that maybe it wouldn't work.
Mhm.
Maybe we wouldn't be as successful because one of us would probably be miserable. you know
Mhm. Mhm.
and I feel like that's important. And yeah, from the get-go, we both wanted it. I remember coming home from I used to come home from work, this is after cancer, and I'd be like, man, I just do not like my job anymore. It's just so I just got bored at it, and it was just not
Mhm.
fun. He's like, I just want to dig in the dirt.
Hmm.
I just want to work with my hands. I just
Yeah.
want to be outside. And then my wife, she's like, I want that too. I want that for you. I want that for us and for our family, and to raise our daughter in a different environment. And yeah, definitely. So yeah, we both wanted it.
Yeah. Now, all right. So let's fast forward to now. What does the farm look like now? Like, what crops are you growing? What animals are you raising?
Yeah. So now, we started on that 1.5 acres. We were there for 6 years. And last year we moved to 14 acres. We outgrew that property. And now, we raised 2 steers, um, some pigs, right? Last year we raised pigs. And then, we have all the animals, really, most animals, turkeys, about 40 egg layers. We raise 150 broilers, meat
Mhm.
chickens, for the year. Um, we have some kuni pigs out there now, a breeding pair of kunis. We raised some 3 feeder pigs this year. Um, what else? Oh, plus we started about 10 raised garden beds. That's more of like our, I guess, kitchen garden, something closer to the house, because our soil here is really bad. It was a old horse property, so it's very compacted and very definitely overgrazed. And so we were starting with the raised garden beds, um, you know, basic stuff like kind of how we started in California. We try to remember, how we started those raised beds back then, and growing what we want to eat. You know,
Mhm.
kales, lettuces, tomatoes, maybe potatoes, stuff like that. And then uh, this year we grew in ground for the first time. We had a spot where we ran all of our animals, and we had pigs there, we had chickens there, our steers were there, just trying to help us get that soil uncompacted, and a little bit more fertile. And then we grow a bunch of we're growing a bunch of pumpkins right now. Hopefully they'll grow, but we just started that. Um, so yeah, and then we also do our own butchering here too with our animals.
Gotcha. Now, talk to me a little bit about the butchering there, because I know you teach some classes on that. Did that start off from the first, or is it just people really wanted to learn about it, so you started working that direction?
Yeah, well, when we were on our 1.5 acres, we did meat chickens, and we moving around, Joe Salatin style, and people started asking us questions. People that we would meet be like, "Hey, I know you guys raise meat." She's like, "You butcher them yourself?" can you show us how to do it? And so we'd start to just people like just coming, we'll be like, yeah, sure, if you guys want to help us. And so they would come and we'd show them what we're doing. It just happened more people were trying to learn stuff. And also at the same time as we're growing our online presence, people were messaging us. People would know that we do this because I would film for our YouTube channel, like, hey, today we're butchering chickens, and I would show that in videos and do posts about it. And people would message us like, hey, I don't know anybody in my area that is teaching how to butcher a chicken. I know you guys are doing it. Can I come over and you teach me? And these are people in different states. Like they don't live in our area at all. And they're contacting me to show them how to do it. And so we thought, what if we just, started charging and then creating workshops around this? Because I feel like the demand was there. And so we started on 1.5 acres doing it and maybe 5 people at a time, because we don't do hundreds of chickens at once, maybe do 40. So definitely smaller scale for the home. And so when we moved to this property, we knew like one of the reasons why we wanted a bigger property was because we wanted to do more of these workshops, because we really think that is more of our future as we get older and as we learn how to do all this stuff. And so last year, first year here, we did 5 chicken processing workshops. And then we're still doing them this year. And then we opened it up to this year we opened it up to larger animals like pig processing. We had 2 pig processing workshops, which I teamed up with one of my friends that he's a butcher. Like he knows more about larger animals than me, even though I've done it, but he's more, versed on the knowledge. And so teaming up with him, getting together, I have the space, let's teach a workshop, and teach a workshop that way. With the chickens, it's me and my wife, and now my wife's parents are closer to us. They moved out of California, and they help us too. So they come out for butchering in. So it's like the whole family teaching, 10 people all at once on how to butcher chickens.
Very cool. And so then with the gardening you're doing, is that more just for yourselves then as well?
Yes. It's just more for ourselves for now. I definitely do see us like in the future evolving to like actually selling produce. Like we're talking about doing like maybe a greenhouse here, but I do feel like that's more of our future, like the hands-on workshops, selling stuff to the local community, and not so much of the online content that we put out now.
Gotcha. Yeah. So after you, so stopping to do as much online and just focus more on the in-person or the more teaching direct actual, like instead of just info, almost just more the actual education.
Right. And I feel like it's for people, it's the baby steps, like after you watch all the online content, you can only watch so much online content, there's so much out there. But you watch all that content, you read all the books, you read all the websites, you watch all the videos. And then what's the next step? Taking a hands-on class, go to somebody's farm and taking a class. And then you could be ready for doing it yourself.
Well, I think part of it is you can watch a tremendous amount of videos and everyone's going to do things a little bit differently, but you kind of need to see someone do it start to finish and pick one way to do it. You can't do it everyone's way.
Correct. Or, you go multiple different workshops and you take pieces from everybody's workshop and like figure out what you want to do and go over it that way. I mean, we also, when COVID hit, people were still asking us, can we come over to take workshops? But a lot of them were also like, well, I don't want to come over and take a workshop. Do you have anything online? And so that is when we created our online courses of butchering chickens. So, we have the YouTube stuff, but we also have specific, like an actual course that people could take online.
Mhm.
And so I think that's helpful for people also. And then we have since made a pig butchering online course where people
Mhm.
could just take it online, and they have access to like videos and PDF, downloadable PDF, like colored pictures on how to do it. So it's like, I think, our area here, there's a lot of people doing this stuff. It sometimes can get, I have to remember, like, not everyone has a community like that where they're at,
Mhm.
where they could just ask their neighbor, like, hey, can I come over and you can show me how to butcher a pig? Like that just
Mhm.
doesn't happen. They will probably be the only person doing that in their area. And so they either need to like go to a different state usually and take a class, or they could take an online class like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Hey, Thriving Farmers listeners, it's Lindsay from Grown By. I have exciting news for farmers who sell direct. Grown By is proud to be the first and only platform where you can accept SNAP benefits online. 42 million Americans depend on SNAP benefits to feed their families, spending $114 billion annually. With SNAP Online, you don't need clunky machines or weird workarounds to receive those payments. Customers shop your Grown By store and check out using their EBT card just like a credit card, and no special equipment is required. Grown By supports everything you'd want to sell, from complex CSA programs to weekly markets and delivery. I know that many of you care deeply about food security. There are so many projects that farmers do on their own to bring food to the communities who need it most. Offering SNAP Online is another way to make sure that your farm products are accessible to everyone. Thanks to a grant through USDA and our partner MarketLink, accepting SNAP Online at your farm is entirely free. Really. To get started, simply email us at snap@farmgenerations.coop or visit us on the web at grownby.app. Check out today's show notes for more information. And also, just so you know, it's okay if you've never accepted SNAP before on your farm. We will get you started. We hope that you will join me and the members of the Farm Generations Cooperative, makers of Grown By, to expand your farm sales with SNAP Online.
So let's talk because I think for farmers, that actually hosting online or actually in-person education is huge. And that's something that we've seen really grow for us. We're about getting ready to offer our canning classes for the year. And
Nice.
what would you say would be some key things to think through for farmers before they offer their first like in-person education?
I think you have to definitely, you got to think about if you want strangers at your farm.
Mm.
And if that's something you're not used to, like for us, we're not necessarily, I wouldn't say we're necessarily farmers in the traditional sense where we have people coming to our farm. I mean, if you're already a farmer and that's your business and you have people coming to your farm and then you create the workshops, that I think feel like that's a little bit, that's,
Yep.
a little bit different than for like, say us, like we're online content creators. And then now we're having people come to us.
Mhm.
And so that's a little different because do we want people coming to us?
Yeah.
Like, do we want in-person people to
Yeah.
meet be here? Because we try to be private as much as possible.
Yeah.
Even though
Well, and they're going to see the whole farm.
that too. Yeah, you have to, in a way, like it's weird because I hate for people to come see us or even meet us in real life after they've been watching us for so long, and they come here and then they be disappointed.
Yeah.
Because they have this sense of like, they see you online with these edited videos, and then they meet me in person and you're like, they might say like, you're nowhere near what I thought you were going to be in real life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's my biggest fear when I meet people like that, is that I'm going to disappoint them, because we're real people. Like we're not, anybody special. And I would hope that whatever they see us online, that we're like that in real life. Like we're portraying like a real honest person. So when they come here, yeah, I mean, this is our farm. This is what it looks like. And I like to think that they they, okay, this is what I imagined.
Yeah.
So
I
getting over that
absolutely
fear,
get that. Yeah.
yeah, giving over
Yeah.
that fear and like saying like are perfect. I mean, yeah, there's certain parts of the homestead that I don't show you on camera,
Yeah.
because I'm not going to show you that pile of junk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like a certain part of my property is not mowed. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's fine, but like that's real life.
Yeah.
It's not,
Yeah.
or something's broken and it's just sitting there. Like, you don't really see that. So I guess for somebody coming to your farm, you have to get over that, or say to yourself, do you really want people to see that, or do you, but that's real life though, and people need to understand that.
Yeah. We have a farm tour happening here through the local soil and water. And I'm looking at there as I'm walking out today. I was like, oh gosh, they're going to see this and they're going to see this. But it is true life. And, I would say one of the things with building this new farm is we built this farm incredibly rapidly. And I think the thing that's struggling to catch up is our soil life, and B, our team on production. So, we have a fabulous team, which our retail store is fabulous and that works really, really well. But the actual production aspect is lagging because we just don't have the expertise yet. So, it's one of those things why we haven't had any field days or haven't had any things, because I feel like I got a reputation to keep up. And my wife's like, well, they got to see it. She said, they're going to respect you more if he's like, hey, this is what's really like to farm. And you can still farm if stuff looks like this. It's not going to look perfect. It's going to look messy. So
totally.
Anyway, yeah.
No, totally. Yeah. I mean, that's another thing I just thought of right now though, is, if you're charging for these workshops, figuring out like a good price point. Because what I'm realizing is that, if you have a price out there, and if people don't give you some people give you pushback on that, like, oh my gosh, this is too much, I'm not paying that much for that, that's insane, how can you pay that, how can you charge that much? If you don't get that pushback, then I think it means that you're not charging enough.
The rule we use is if 10% of people won't complain, and then you're probably not charging high enough.
Yes. And coming, like, I never considered myself like a entrepreneur or we always work for somebody. So these things are like hard for me to wrap my mind around, like especially charging for things, like trying to figure out what that is. Because you're like, I don't want to push people away, so that's kind of hard to do. But like when you're doing a workshop, I think it's important to do at the price that it can't be free, like I feel like if it's say $5, even $5 or $20, they don't respect it. They don't respect you as much. Like we had like, I'm just being honest here, like one of our pig butchery workshops, it was a 2-day thing. We fed people, and the price point we had on there was, it was high, but it wasn't the highest that I've seen out there, but it was pretty up there. And one of the ladies that was here, and my thing is like, I want it to be hands-on. I want these people to get dirty. I want them to want to pull out the guts. This is why they are here, like to learn. And so one of the ladies at the class, she was like, for the price that we paid for this class, she goes, I'm getting my hands dirty.
Yes. Yeah. So she's going to be invested because she paid so much.
Right. Versus if maybe it was only like $50, then I almost feel like I'm not getting my hands dirty. It's $50. Like I'm just here because it was $50 and I just want to hang out. I just want to see it. Like they're just kind of there, but they only come because it's free, basically.
Yeah. They're going to, be invested, all of that. Yeah.
Right.
How do you make sure you set the right expectations for the people attending?
I try to list everything out before they, when they go to the page, and they know what you'll, like, I'll write out like what you'll get, what's included in the price,
Mm,
this, and just list out everything that's going to be, even from like coffee in the morning,
mhm,
a meal every day, or whatever it is. Or, for our chicken processing, we'll include the whole chicken.
mhm.
My wife teaches you how to piece out a chicken, includes how to bag a chicken, and, we'll do like a little farm tour here, includes all that.
Gotcha. So you're big, very specific in the outline.
Yeah, so there's no questions of, well, I'm not sure what I'm getting. Am I just getting you show me how to do this, or are we doing
Mhm.
one chicken, or are we doing 40 chickens?
Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. We actually are hoping to do an in-person chicken class this summer with a partner farm, because we actually don't raise any chickens on our farm because we're so urban.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just interested in how that works. What would you say has been the biggest things that you've learned, and let's say, in your homesteading and farming journey?
I would say the biggest thing would, that's a tough one. I would say, I guess one of the biggest things is be just, how to do things for ourselves.
Mm,
Um, it's, we didn't know what working for ourselves would look like. I mean, I still feel like it's very much of just figuring it out as we go. But every year it gets better.
mhm,
Um, and I think just trying to figure out how to work together as a family, like with my wife,
mhm,
and now my daughter. I mean, she's 11 now, and she's already developed like that entrepreneur, like, mindset.
mhm,
Like,
mhm.
I mean, because she sees us talking and working, and we're, sometimes we'll go back and forth of like, oh, maybe we should sell this, because we sell like merchandise too, and I make plans for the stuff I build. And,
Mhm.
sometimes we have a vendor space at an event, and, for a couple of years we had a shop space in Asheville selling woodworking stuff,
Mm,
that we rented out. And, just kind of basically doing what we want to do, and just trying to how to make an income from that, of trying to figure that out. So definitely, I guess we are continuing to learn how to do that, and something that when we first started, definitely didn't know how to do any of that stuff,
mhm.
because I've just never done it.
Yeah. Now, with that, if you could go back and start over again, would you change anything?
I like to say, yeah, I would, but I don't know if I would. I mean, I guess, finding working for yourself is difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe at first finding an actual job, starting off finding an actual job, but then at the same time, if we would have waited, I don't think we would have left California. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't find a job. I think since I've left, which is, 7 years, about 7 years now, I've never had a full-time job. It's always been seasonal,
Hmm. Hmm.
or part-time. Everything's part-time and seasonal.
Hmm.
And that is what I could not understand at first. Um, so definitely it would probably be easier if I did find a job at first, but at the same time, I might have been started to get comfortable again with that job,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
and stayed,
Yeah. Not having that backup really made you hungry.
It's like you almost like I purposely backed myself in the corner and said, you have no other options
Hmm.
but to figure it out.
Yeah. What would you say what does your day look like now?
Now, we have, coming from 1.5 acres to 14, that definitely is a big change, because I'm used, back on 1.5 acres, I could walk everywhere,
Mhm.
like I could look out my kitchen window and see everything. And now it's more land. The first couple months I was walking everywhere, and we felt like we ran a marathon, like because it's
Yeah.
like a lot more steps now. And so that took a little time to get used to, but now, we've been here a year and a half now. I got to learn the lay of the land a little bit better. We're moving chicken coops like twice a day. So in the morning, usually do all the chores. Right now we have 3 chicken coops for our meat chickens. So I'm moving those. We got turkeys that we're moving, and everything here is movable. All the structures. We got a breeding pair of cooney pigs, and they just had piglets, like 7 of them this year. And so, we're constantly moving them, our egg layers. So definitely in the morning, I'm usually doing chores and also filming all of this at the same time. So I have a camera in one hand, with a tripod, and as I'm going along and talking about the things that we're doing. And then, plus my wife, she's in it, and my daughter, and, we're working together at that, of trying to create the content online. And while we're taking care of the animals and the land, and then, we have every single meal we have is together as a family, in the morning, have breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. And all while filming, we film a little bit of that too. And then I had since got a little mini truck, Suzuki, to drive along the land also. So just trying to keep up with that.
Yeah, I've always wanted to pick up one of those little trucks. I've been looking
Oh, they're
lately.
fun.
Yeah,
They're super fun.
I saw one. Go ahead.
They're affordable too. They're like way more
Correct.
affordable than like a side by side or like a mule or something.
Yeah.
Like way more.
Yeah. So I found a local one, but it was like they wanted $1,400 for it, but it was a project and it needed a new clutch. It needed all these things. And I was like, I do not know what I'm getting into there. I have a really great mechanic I can send it to, and he'll just work on it.
Yeah.
He's very reasonable, but I need to find something a little bit more. It may need like 3 things, and that's all. But
Right.
yeah. So with the filming, then, I mean, that's obviously, that's one of the reasons why we don't do a lot of ongoing content, is I just clearly don't have the patience. I want to just get stuff done. So the fact that you have the patience to record all that is awesome. What would you say, because I think that is important to show that side of the farm, to let people see, because I think people just absolutely eat that up. Because I think they live through the videos. They kind of live vicariously through the videos you show them. How have you made sure you have time for that, or what kind of drives that?
Yeah, it's just evolved over the years. I first started off with my iPhone. Did that for like 2 years, and then just gradually I wanted to improve the quality of the videos, get them, and then also the sound, get a mic, stuff like that. So that has evolved. I've always done my own editing. I still do my own editing. So, with the bigger property now, there's more stuff going on. So before we were putting out a lot more videos because we had more time, but now I still post like 2 or 3 videos a week, which is still a lot. But so yeah, now it's not so like I try to pick a topic and then do a video around that. So it might be multiple days of filming for one video. As before, I would just literally turn on the camera and just go about my day and film it, and that would be it. That would be it. So now I feel like the videos are a little bit more thoughtful, and a little bit more. I would say they're a lot better, like the editing and just I've done it for so long, so you should get better whatever it is that you're doing. But yeah, I mean, usually what happens is like I film for a couple of days, and then the next day I'm editing, because it'll take me about 4 to 6 hours to edit one video.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And what kind of camera are you using now?
I'm using a Sony A7 with the Rode mic on it.
Now, is the Rode mic one of those that's like a shotgun, or is it actually like a clip-on?
It's a shotgun mic.
Okay. Yeah.
It's kind of big. Yeah. It's funny. It's like this, it's kind of a big camera. I mean, nowadays, the camera seems like they get smaller nowadays.
Yeah.
And they're very great quality, or even with your phone now. Your phone now is like,
it's incredible.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for me, like, I got used to having a bigger camera, it's an SLR camera, and because I don't know, I just got used to it. Like, I started using a flip phone or a flip camera, little flip one.
Yeah.
For some reason, I started going out in the community. Like, I'd go to a farmer's market and start filming, and for some reason, if you have a little camera, or even if you're using your phone, you're intimidated about busting it out, and start.
Yeah. Yeah.
You almost are hiding it.
Gotcha.
And you become this creepy guy at the farmer's market. Like, they know you have a camera and they know you're talking to it.
All right. So I get it. So the fact that you have this big camera, the fact that you're doing it, it's just kind of like, you might as well rip the Band-Aid off and let everyone know what's going on.
Yes, because there's no hiding it.
Yes. Gotcha.
You have this thing now. Now you're in it. Now you're there. You might as well get in front of that camera and start talking because it's there.
Yeah. We are between two train tracks, and one of them is the 5th busiest in the US. So literally, it's as often as every 15 minutes that we'll have a train come through.
Oh.
And there's 3 crossings. So that means that we have basically 9 horn, every time it comes through. So if you can imagine that, next time we have a train crossing, think about, 9 horn blasts. We've done some filming here for different things, and it's like, okay, when shut down, we just literally are going to stand here for the next 45 seconds to a minute and let that all go through.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, that'd be tough. Well, on our 1.5 acres, we were on a corner lot.
Oh,
so
yep.
We were on a very busy road, and over the years, it just got more busier. We're talking big rigs flying down. The school bus dropped their kids off right in front of our house. All like that was very busy. So every time like a big rig would go by, I'd stop talking on the camera.
Yeah.
And then like for the longest time, people didn't know. Like I couldn't even. They tell me like I couldn't even tell that you were on a busy road. I wouldn't show the busy road either.
Yeah.
So I definitely hear what you're saying. That can be tough.
Absolutely. Well, Jason, I really appreciate you coming on. It's been a great conversation. Learned so much about you and kind of how you make things work. And thanks so much for sharing your journey.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun, man. It was great seeing you face to face. I think we've been Facebook friends for a while. But
absolutely, yes, probably yes. I think so. Yes. Yeah.
So there you have it, another episode in the books. So I'd love if you would hop on over to iTunes and leave us a rating and a review. Those mean everything to us. We love to hear what you're thinking. If you have a podcast guest that you can recommend, please pop on over to the Thriving Farmer Podcast website and leave us a review. That's thrivingfarmerpodcast.com.